Hello, everyone.
Hello.
So, what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be talking about DC versus Marvel. Now, this has been a constant debate in our household.
Always.
There have been multiple feuds. Many people have run away from home multiple times because of this debate that has been going on. In fact, if we recorded every single time we have debated this topic, we would probably have a 10-hour podcast.
It's time for me to finally put you in your place publicly when it comes to your beliefs about superhero movies.
Okay.
And as a result of that, let's just be clear: we are not debating the MCU versus the DCEU.
Yeah, I don't even agree that the DCU is better than the
Because
MCU.
you wouldn't stand a chance.
Well, also, I don't agree with it. I still think Marvel's better.
Well, that's you. Like
In
I
that
said,
case.
you wouldn't stand a chance if that was the debate. So
It-
we're debating overall any movie
Yeah.
with Marvel characters versus any movie with DC characters.
Also, some of these neither of us might not agree on.
Yeah.
Like our own take, because we were forced to do a certain category. I was forced to do DC, you was forced to do Marvel. So sometimes if there's a best something, we have to debate it either way in a way.
Oh, I believe in all mine.
We'll see about that. We'll see about that.
I do.
I don't think you should.
So we've got categories here.
Mhm.
We're going to go through the categories and we're going to give our picks and talk them over, right?
Mhm,
And we'll see who's
yeah.
got the overall better list.
Okay, so we start off with best hero. You go
No, you
first.
said best villain. We're going to start
Oh,
with
yeah,
best
best
villain.
villain,
We're gonna
best
save
villain.
hero.
Best villain. Go.
I had to think a long time about this. I was tempted to go with Thanos, but I did not go with Thanos.
Okay, then you're going to lose.
I went with Killmonger.
Okay, well, now you're definitely
And,
going to lose.
Well, we'll see. And my reasoning is he's a realistic villain. He's a villain you can sympathize with. Michael B. Jordan in Black Panther does an excellent job playing him. And he's a villain whose ideas a lot of people might agree with, that Wakanda should use their technology to help free oppressed people around the world. Now, again, his methods weren't necessarily the best. He's kind of a violent guy and innocent people got in the way. But he's the kind of villain that believes they're right. And there's probably a certain portion of the audience that understands like their viewpoint. So I picked Killmonger because of the realism of his positions.
Okay, well, my villain, obviously, you know who it is probably. It's, of course, the Joker, Heath Ledger's Joker from The Dark Knight. And he's obviously not a realistic villain.
Not at all.
But my argument is that he's not really supposed to be. He's not supposed to be. All he is, he's the biggest threat to Batman. He's probably one of the most threatening villains, if anything. And you want to know why? Because he affects them psychologically. He's not out here throwing punches or throwing people across buildings and stuff like that. He affects them psychologically. He messes with their minds and uses that to emotionally break them. Because when it comes down to, an actual one-on-one, fist-on-fist fight, he knows he can't beat Batman. So because of that, he decides to mess with his mind. He decides to emotionally break him. And he doesn't exactly just do that with Batman. He tries to do that with the entire city. And even if, in a way, he did kind of lose, he did sort of win with his plan. He succeeded. His whole point, the reason why he manipulated Harvey Dent, was to show that any man can fall. And while he didn't exactly show it to the city, and he failed in that regards, he still, in a way, was able to show Batman that the greatest man can fall.
All right, see, to me, I think you are kind of thinking about the performance from Heath Ledger and not the character.
No, I am not.
And and again, it's a great performance. Okay, so his premise, any man can fall. To me, that's aiming low. Like, that's obvious. I like Killmonger's perspective is the idea that, and it ties into history, that Africa has been victimized for centuries, right? And they have this opportunity, at least Wakanda does, to not necessarily get revenge, but to flip the tables and to establish a different world order where the people that have been oppressed are no longer now oppressed. To me, that's just bigger thinking, bigger ideas than any man can fall.
Well,
okay, yeah, I got that.
It's more complicated than that, though.
That corruption can, or you push someone far enough, they will fall.
Exactly.
Yes, I get that.
That's who the Joker is. It might seem simple on the surface, but there's, somewhat more complexity to that when you actually watch the film. The thing is, if anything, Joker is a bigger threat than Killmonger. He is.
I don't understand why.
Because he can mess up anybody psychologically. He uses everything about their past and everything about them and uses it to emotionally break them.
Well, like I said, that might be true. But in terms of the motivations of the Joker in The Dark Knight, like to show that any man can fall. Like I said, I think that's aiming low. I think that's obvious. Does he have to prove that to the city? Does he really? Like in the world today, isn't that an obvious idea?
But the thing is, everybody idolizes Harvey Dent. Everyone sees him as just this great person and great human being. And he decides to tell everybody, no, he's not that great of a person. He can just easily be broken as anybody else.
Yeah, well, I think in 2022 America, we would all agree with that.
But
Didn't need the Joker to prove it.
Okay, well, this was in 2008. This was 14 years ago.
I'll admit the Heath Ledger performance is legendary, but I don't know. I feel like I'm sticking to my pick. I'm sticking with Killmonger. I disagree.
Okay, well, I don't disagree. I think I'm right.
So I'm just wondering, how many different Batman picks are we going to have in your list? Because that's
a lot of them.
That's all DC can do. So I'm going to point that out right now.
Okay.
All your picks are going to be Batman, because if there's one thing that DC Cinematic Universe has shown us, that's the only character they understand.
I could have easily had them all as Batman, but I decided not to do that.
Yeah,
I have other ones. You'll see. I have other ones.
All right, let's go this. Movie, should we go to movie with the best visuals next, or movie with the best story?
I think we should go with best hero next.
You want to go, okay, right away?
Yeah, best villain, best hero.
Let me guess. Your best hero is going to be Batman.
Which one?
Christian Bale's Batman.
Batman for Batman Begins.
Okay.
And I have a lot of reasoning behind this, and I'll explain it right now.
Okay.
So the reason why I have this Batman for Batman Begins is because out of all the Batmans, even though we have, the one for Batman 2002, which is a great character, I think when it comes down to just him solely being a hero, we know so much more about him than we do with any of these other Batmans. Because we slowly get to see his story progress, we slowly get to see his character progress, and we slowly get to see him become this hero. And Nolan does it, okay, this doesn't really have anything to do with the hero, but the way Nolan tells the story is so great. And you'll see that once we get into best backstory. Spoilers, it's him. But yeah, I think they did such a great job with him in this movie as being such a great hero. And maybe it's not as good as yours, but I think Batman in Batman Begins, seeing him mold and become into this character that we know him as, I think they do such a fantastic job with that.
Okay, I do like that movie. I think Batman is a great character. Like I said, he's the center of he's what the DC universe.
He's the best superhero.
Well, I don't know about that. He's the center of what they have. I went a totally different route, and I had to think about this a long time. I had a lot of heroes to choose from, and I went with Captain America.
Fair enough.
The reason I went with Captain America is that this is a character that should not work, right? Because of his origin story, because he's like not the cool hero, because he's not necessarily the funniest of the heroes. He's certainly not the most powerful. But with the way Chris Evans played him and the way the character was developed over time in the MCU throughout the series of movies that are about him, you really got a sense of a Captain America that doesn't always agree with the government, doesn't always support things blindly. You challenges authority and challenges established ideas. And I think that's a great take on the character. And I'm an old comic book reader. Captain America, to me, was never that cool in the comic books. He's much cooler in the MCU. I'm not a huge fan of Chris Evans as an actor. I think Christian Bale is a much better actor. I think Heath Ledger is a much better actor. But in the MCU, the balance they found between humor, seriousness, supporting the government, anti-government, made a really compelling and interesting character in Captain America, which I would not have predicted.
It's kind of hard because, especially since he had so much build-up and he's been in for so many movies, he probably is a better character, to be honest. The thing is, I have to go with DC, and I still love Batman. Of course, I think he's great, but, Captain America, he's so great, especially, this is just, the scratching the surface of his character. We slowly get to see him progress, and it's so fantastic.
Well, he gets all the best lines, and he delivers them really well. And again, he should be cheesy. He should be someone we don't root for, but we end up kind of rooting for him.
Yeah. I think one scene I always remember, this isn't in First Avenger, but it's in The Avengers, when Iron Man just, tells him, how, Captain America says, without that suit, what are you? And he says, how he's he's a genius. And then Tony says how without his strength, he's nothing. He's that really all of his strength and everything he has is just
from a bottle.
Yeah.
Those are great lines.
Yeah, they are.
It's good. It's good stuff.
Yeah. So I can't. It's hard for me to really argue with that. He's a great character.
He is a great character.
But I still think Batman's a great character. So, yeah. Okay, so next one. I don't really have anything else to say.
Okay, so that was best. Which one do you want to go to next?
I mean, next one I have is the movie with the best story, and I feel like I'm definitely gonna lose this one.
Well, you might not.
I definitely will. You're not gonna like what I picked. It wasn't a Batman movie.
What is it?
It's Superman.
Original Superman.
The original.
It can't be any of the new ones.
No, Man of Steel's not that great.
This is a good pick.
Okay, now the original Superman. While people might say it's corny, I think it's a really great movie, and a lot of that has to do with how good the story is. I think seeing the comic book and the way they portray it come to life, they had this perfect mixture of like kind of cheesy but not exactly like too over the top, and they did it in a way where it felt not exactly real, but it felt like how they made it just work. They just made this really crazy, cheesy comic book story come to life in a way that's so fascinating to me. And I feel like this couldn't have worked in like modern day. They couldn't have done it in the 90s or the 2000s. I feel like this only works in the certain time period they were in. The story, the way they tell it, it could have only worked now. That's why they redid it in Man of Steel. That's why in Superman Returns it's, kind of weird the way they just do everything. But yeah, overall, I think that the way they tell the story, the way it's portrayed, and the way they're overall just take this really cheesy, weird comic book story that's seems like very corny and campy, and just make it in a way where it just works.
Well, it's a good story. And Christopher Reeves could have been like one of your best performance by a hero. Could be.
No.
Could be.
No, it's not. It's not. He's not my best performance.
It could be. I mean, he plays Superman better than anyone has. But you can argue over like who's played Batman better. There's an argument there. You can argue over who plays Spider-Man better. I don't think there's any argument right now, at least, about who's played Superman the best.
Oh no, there definitely
so there's
isn't.
no argument.
There's no argument.
There's something to be said for that, and that's he did in the 1970s, and no one has topped it.
I know people think the new Superman. I forget what.
Henry Cavill.
Yeah, Henry Cavill. I know people think that he's like the best Superman, but he just seems so like stone faced. He doesn't feel like Superman.
No. He can probably play Superman, but he can't really play Clark Kent. What made Reeves good is that he could play Clark Kent.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference. Like he could play that goofy, geeky, and then he's Superman. With Cavill, you don't ever see the geeky, goofy Clark Kent, which is it's a part of the Superman character. Like you need that balance between the two.
Mm-hmm.
This was a tough one for me too. I went.
I think I know what it is.
Well, I'm going with Winter Soldier.
Oh, I thought you were gonna go with like Infinity War.
I thought about that. I could thought about Infinity War because it's good, but to me, it's more of an action movie. Mm-hmm. To me, the best story, start to finish, is Winter Soldier. I think there are political themes in it. There are ideas about betrayal within it. It sets up movies that come later on. It's a great movie. You forget about superhero movie. It's just an overall great movie. Mm-hmm. So I went with Winter Soldier. The best story.
That's fair. I don't really remember the story from Winter Soldier all that well. I think I got to rewatch it, but it probably is fantastic.
Well, it's great that you find out that Hydra has infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. and that Bucky Barnes is now the Winter Soldier and he's working for Hydra through S.H.I.E.L.D. and now Captain America has become the enemy. And again, that's what's good about this Captain America. He's not necessarily a you-rah-rah government guy.
You-rah-rah.
Well, he sees like the downside of it, and he doesn't trust anyone blindly, and he figures it out. And there's great scenes in the movie. Some of the best action scenes are in that movie. The elevator fight scene is an iconic all-time scene. And it's just a great story with Black Widow. She works well in that movie, and it introduces Falcon, who's not one of my favorite characters, but I think he's great in that movie and makes a lot of sense in that movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen the movie in a while. I just remember the fight scenes being fantastic. And
very realistic.
Yeah, very realistic. I need to rewatch it. It's been so long since
for a superhero movie. Realistic for a superhero movie.
It's been so long since I've seen Winter Soldier. I gotta watch it again.
But I think Winter Soldier, Superman. I don't know that original. I do like the original Superman, but I would. If I'm rewatching something now, probably Winter Soldier.
It probably is better. Okay, you're not gonna like what I have for best visuals. I know you're gonna hate it.
I'm gonna win this one. There's no question.
Yeah. Well, can I guess what it is first?
Yeah.
Spider-Verse.
Yeah, I went with Spider-Verse, yeah.
Okay. Mine is Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Okay, you can't. This is... Are you trolling here?
No, I'm not. You haven't even seen the whole movie.
Are you being ironic here? Because I know your generation loves to be ironic.
Not Justice League 2017. The cut. The Snyder cut.
I can't.
Okay, there are... there are some great ones. Okay, I was thinking Batman Returns maybe, but then you just see how grand the Snyder Cut is with all these fantastic slow mos, which they can be annoying sometimes, sure, but I feel like it just no Zack Snyder brought this very grand, very wide array of like the way he did it, and I don't know. I'm just gonna go to Batman Returns. Okay, I'm just gonna switch it to Batman Returns.
Okay, you're just gonna lose this one.
I don't. The more I think about it, the more I like Zack Snyder's Justice League, but then I think about how great Batman Returns looks, and I think I have to switch with that one because I absolutely love the way, because it's like Batman Christmas. It always works well visually, and I love the gothic style that Burton brings. Mm-hmm. And then combined with snow and everything, it just looks beautiful. It just looks beautiful. Mm-hmm. I love it.
Okay.
I kind of had to switch it up. It was kind of a toss with me. It was one of the other.
Zack Snyder, you're definitely losing.
Why?
The other one, the Batman Returns, is a little better because to me, Schneider's visuals are. It all looks the same. Like you flip a Zack Snyder movie on, I can tell because he's got this visual style. Mm-hmm. Things will be in slow mo when they don't need to be in slow mo. We know that. Not a fan at all. Mine is Spider-Verse, and because
I lose this one.
It's amazing. The animation is amazing. It looks like a comic book come to life. It's the closest thing I've ever seen. Mm. It has some of those iconic shots where he's kind of falling up or down, however you want to look at it. That shot from the iconic shot from the movie. But just even from the early scenes of Miles walking, down the street or walking into the school, the way they did that, the way they added in little parts of things that look like comic books, little dialogue boxes or explanations, I just thought that was amazing. And the look of the overall movie was crazy.
Yeah, this one's the one where I kind of lose. If Spider-Verse didn't exist, I might have a chance, but nah, I can't compete with it.
It's hard because, again, it's groundbreaking animation.
It looks fantastic visually. Like, it's hard for me. Like, I was thinking, like, even if, like, I had a really good movie that was, like, great visual, that I could compete with it. I just can't. You can't compete with Spider-Verse.
Yeah. Well, that's you can't win them all with the DC. That's for sure.
I'd say
with DC, the visuals, it's like, do they have other colors besides black and gray in DC?
Yeah, you have the Lego Batman movie.
That's like the only one. Like,
there's Birds of Prey.
Okay.
There's the Suicide Squad.
All right. So you got to go there. It just seems like there's a lot of charcoal gray, dark black, darker black. I don't know. It just seems pretty common.
Well, those ones are the ones that are like they're not as great visually, except for like Batman Returns. Batman Returns looks great.
Okay, what's the next one here?
Okay, best dialogue. This one was like kind of hard because I was gonna choose The Dark Knight, but then I realized I have a higher chance of beating it with like best villain and the other ones you're gonna.
And you can't choose The Dark Knight forever.
I can't. I could, and I would very easily win. But when it comes to best dialogue, this is mainly because of one character, but it's done so well and so good. I had to put it in. It's V for Vendetta. I forgot the actor's name, but the guy who plays V, like he, of course, great job with the execution of the dialogue. But the dialogue is so poetic and interesting and fascinating. I absolutely love it.
It's Hugo Weaving.
Hugo Weaving. Yeah, I think that's his name. I love the dialogue that comes out of his mouth. A lot of it's from the comics, which are great and have fantastic dialogue. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's just part of it, but it's overall.
Okay, that's an inspired choice. That was a good. I gotta admit, that's a good choice. I have not watched V for Vendetta in a long time. I fell asleep when I was watching this one, but the dialogue is pretty good. The ideas are good. I don't know if I can beat that one, but I'm going with Civil War. And I'm going there because the ideas in it, the conversations that are had about whether or not superheroes should be registered or not, whether or not there should be oversight and government control or not, plays so well into the themes of the earlier movies, and the discussions are real world discussions.
I think yours is more about the substance of the discussions, yes. And mine's more about the style.
Yeah, this is not about style. I don't know that there's a Marvel movie that has great dialogue style.
Exactly. Nothing like Tarantino, Scorsese, anything like that.
Nothing like that. But the ideas that I brought out to the dialogue. Yeah. And it's similar in Endgame, though I didn't pick it. The conflict, again, between Captain America and Tony Stark about their beliefs about how things should be done. Those are interesting conversations.
Honestly, if you picked Endgame for dialogue, you would have lost. I'm just being honest.
I went Civil War because I know those ideas are good, and even with Robert Redford leading up, S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra, even some of his dialogue in there is compelling and interesting.
I'm just gonna say that was probably by far your best bet out of all of them, because I can't really think of another MCU movie that has like really good dialogue at all, or just Marvel movie in general. I can't think of anything.
Okay,
that was probably your best one.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna pick the best ones.
Mm-hmm.
That's the goal here, to destroy you, because all you have is Batman.
Okay, well, you're about to lose.
Have you made one? Oh, okay, you made one pick that wasn't Batman.
No, I've had like
V for Vendetta.
No, 2.
What's the other one again?
Superman.
Oh, okay, that's true. Yeah, you had 2. 2 that weren't Batman.
Okay, now you're gonna lose in best performance, because you want to know what it is. It's obviously, of course, it's Scarecrow from Batman. No, it's Heath Ledger from The Dark Knight.
Okay.
If I picked Scarecrow, what would you have done?
Well, one, but no, okay. Heath Ledger, it is a great performance. I probably can't win this one.
No, you cannot.
But I'm gonna try.
All right, who is it?
I'm going with Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark.
You're still gonna lose
in Endgame. Because he's asked to do a lot more in that movie than just make jokes, so he does a lot of that.
No, don't pull that card.
It shows him with a family. It shows him with a lot to lose, and his death scene is one that moved people in the theater. It's, you probably have like 50 and 40-year-old men crying over the death of a comic book character, and that is a pretty big accomplishment.
Okay, well, now I'm here to absolutely demolish you in this category.
How?
Because while the thing is, when you're talking about this, you're talking about emotional impact. You're not really talking about the performance.
But the performance brings the emotional impact.
Okay.
Like, it's part of it's the story, but he has to carry it out.
Okay, well, 2 can play at that game. Okay, so you know how every time there's a Joker, they always say, they always compare it to Heath Ledger because his performance was that good.
No, it was that
That's
good.
how great his performance was. And also, obviously, when anyone thinks about the Joker, they think about this performance because it embodies who the Joker is and what he stands for. He's perfect at playing this psychotic lunatic, but also someone that clearly can be a little bit more intelligent than just a crazy madman like every other Batman villain. I think that's what makes him so great. That's what makes him so fantastic. Anytime I think of the Joker, I think about this performance, and it's not just me, it's everyone. He embodies the Joker. He is the Joker.
He did a great job, but I'm going to make an unpopular argument here. Easier to have a performance where you're playing like a fringe character that's kind of quirky and crazy. It's easier to stand out that way.
Well, I will tell you this much. If it was that easy, why didn't Jared Leto pull it off?
Maybe he did.
Because all he did was try to play a psychotic, crazy guy that just does random weird things. He doesn't play it with the style and pizzazz that Heath Ledger has.
See, but I think that's what Heath Ledger's doing. He's playing the crazy guy.
He's playing the crazy guy, but he's playing it phenomenally, and he's doing such a good job at it. There's a reason why when they think of him, they think of the Joker, they think of him.
That's true. When I think of Iron Man, I think of Robert Downey Jr.
Okay.
He's the only one who's played him, I think.
Yeah, he's the only one who's played him. That's why.
Okay, maybe I'm going to lose this one. Maybe.
You've already lost like 3 of them. Okay, so I guess we move on to the next one. Okay, best backstory.
I'm struggling with this. Because I have a lot of the same character here. Can we go to best set piece?
Okay, best set piece. This one I would definitely lose. I think you did this just because you know I would lose.
Yeah, I got to get some momentum.
This is a very generic thing to pick, but there's not that many great action sequences in DC movies. As much as I like their movies, there's not that many. I picked the warehouse sequence for Batman v Superman. I think it's just overall, like, choreography-wise, action-wise, it's just a great scene. It's not as good as whatever you're going to pick, but I think really
I had options. I thought of the fight scene in Civil War at the airport, which is good.
That already beats it.
I thought of a couple other ones, but to me it's the fight against Thanos in Endgame when Captain America picks up the hammer. That's hard to beat. That caused a reaction in the movie theater that no DC scene has ever caused.
Oh no, definitely. I could agree with that, and I don't love Marvel that much. I still think DC's better overall. But the thing is, it's just you're right. You win.
Yeah, that's it. If I were you, and maybe you couldn't, I would have gone with the Dark Knight, the semi scene.
That might have worked a bit better, but it still just doesn't work as well.
But it's iconic.
That
chase scene, the semi flipping over, like that. To me, when I think of the Dark Knight, that's the scene I think of because it was pretty impressive at the time.
I still wouldn't have won though.
No, you're gonna lose that one.
Exactly. I think overall it's just like there's a reason why the reason why I don't hate Endgame is partly because of that third act, because it's like one of the greatest third acts of all time.
It is. The movie's got flaws, but it's a great third act.
Mm-hmm.
Is there an anti-hero in DC?
There is one.
Is it Batman?
No.
What?
Right,
sure
shut up.
What?
Shut up.
What? Isn't he an anti-hero?
It's Harley Quinn.
Oh no!
Who did you pick as your anti-hero? I think I might know who it is.
Guess.
It's Deadpool, isn't it?
Nope.
How? That's the best anti-hero.
Nope. I did not.
It's Bucky, isn't it?
I thought about Bucky. I didn't want my whole list to be Captain America. It could be, but I did not. You're not gonna believe who I picked.
Okay, who'd you pick then?
I picked Magneto.
Oh, no, that doesn't count. He's a villain for like most of the series.
No, he's in the comics and in some of the movies.
We're not counting comics.
Well, he does. He joins the side of the good guys at times. He grows up with Charles, like they're young men together.
He descends as a villain.
He does, but there are times when he fights on the other side.
Well, that's only in the prequels. In the X-Men, the original X-Men trilogy, he's a villain.
What about in the Days of Future Past?
That's before he became a villain.
But in the present time in that movie, he's with Xavier. They're working together. Magneto.
Right. He's still not better than Harley Quinn, though.
Oh, he's so much better. So much. I have all the world respect for Margot Robbie, but Michael Fassbender, Sir Ian McKellen, and just like his Magneto's backstory, like there's a reason for him to hate society because of the Holocaust. Like I thought about having him for best backstory too, and I might. Like he's someone that has seen the worst of humanity, what they can do to people that are different because he was almost a Holocaust victim. He plays that out on other people until he kind of has, kind of sees the light and understands that he's maybe becoming as bad as the people that he hated in the beginning. So it's a good story, and he's a good anti-hero.
Okay, this one that was really hard to argue with because I really thought you were gonna go with Deadpool because I couldn't think of anyone else, so I thought I had.
I could have gone with Wolverine too. In a way, Wolverine's an anti-hero too.
I mean, maybe I guess you got a point there too. You still would have won, but like it's
you
kind
got
of hard
Harley
to
Quinn.
This.
I'm sorry.
There's no other anti-heroes in DC, anyways. But I mean, she's fun and entertaining to watch. She's
not Magneto.
No, she's not. She's fun to watch. She's entertaining, and Margot Robbie does a great job playing her, but she's still not as good. So yeah, you got a point there. I mean, yeah, I still think DC's overall is better than Marvel, even with this though.
Wow, most entertaining movie. I'm really wondering what you have.
Okay,
here. Wait, let me guess. Green Lantern. No, not Green Lantern.
I haven't even seen Green Lantern.
You're not going Green. If it's Shazam, you are really reaching.
No, it actually isn't. No, I didn't even think of Shazam when I made this thing.
Okay, what is it?
The Lego Batman movie. And I'll tell you why. This movie is nothing but a pure roller coaster. It is so fun and it's so entertaining, and it's just a blast from the beginning to the end. I could watch this movie constantly. It's just so fun. It's fun in every single way. It is nothing but a pure joyride. That's all I have to say. It's just a fun movie.
You have to go to Lego Batman?
It's a good movie. It's actually a good movie, though.
Okay. It is a good movie. Mm-hmm. It's kind of sad that's where you have to go.
But where else would I go?
I don't know. Yeah, it's tough.
I'm not saying the other DC movies aren't like entertaining to watch, but by far, I'd say it's the most entertaining.
Superman 3 could have done that.
No, Superman 3 is not. No, Superman 3 is boring.
All right, so I'll give you mine. I had to think a long time about this because I'm thinking like entertain, just fun. To me, it's Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one.
Fair enough.
It's funny. It's there's some great action sequences. The soundtrack is fire. Like it's just got a lot going for it. And again, the Guardians have maybe worn a little thin in the last couple movies. Like they haven't been as good. But that initial movie in the theater was just super entertaining. I also thought about putting Infinity War here, even though it's kind of dark. It never slows up. It hits you in the beginning, it just keeps going, and it's really well done. But I'm with Guardians because I was considering entertaining more like just fun. In Infinity War, I mean, it's a good movie, but it ends in a kind of dark way. I don't know that it's
exactly. Yeah, I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy is probably a better made movie than the Lego Batman movie, but Lego Batman movie is still more fun. I still enjoy it more. I don't care. It's still more enjoyable.
fun. Okay. Best. So I know what you're going with here.
Exactly. I win this one. I win. I don't lose.
Best animated movie.
Oh, best animated movie. This one I lose. Mask of the Phantasm. Now, this movie is still fantastic, and I still absolutely love it. It's not as good as Spider-Verse, but it's a fantastic movie, and I'll tell you why. This movie understands Batman probably more than any other Batman movie. It embodies it in a way that's very interesting. And I feel like the way they do it is because they introduce this love interest for Batman,
Yep.
right? And then there's this whole idea and this whole crisis with his life of saying, can he really be happy and be the Batman? Can he truly be, this person that is like having a happy, joyful, and fulfilling life and still beat up criminals and still be that embodiment of, like, in a way, depression? Because I feel like that's what the Batman is. And also, that's how he became the Batman. That's why he became the Batman, because of his trauma.
Right. Well, we know that because that's the story they tell
Yeah.
over and over and over.
They don't tell it as well.
I thought maybe you go like Long Halloween here, something like that.
I don't think the long Halloween movies aren't that good.
Okay.
But let me continue. So then it's like this whole idea of, like, can the Batman be happy and still be can Bruce Wayne be happy and still be the Batman? And the reality is he can't. So he can't be happy and be the Batman. He has to be this traumatic, depressing loner and still, be able to save everyone in Gotham and try to save Gotham every time. If he, like, wants to, instead of being happy. So then what happens is he doesn't, be with the one he truly loves and just ends up alone.
Okay. It sounds really dark and disturbing.
It's a great movie, though.
Which is DC. Which is what they do.
It's just a great
They're
movie.
one note, one tone.
It's a great film. It sounds good as Spider-Verse, but still great. If you watched it, you would agree with me, but you wouldn't watch it.
I might watch it.
It's only like 70 minutes too, and it's still...
It won't beat my pick of Spider-Verse, which you discussed already.
No, I know it won't be.
Reimagining of Spider-Man, just fantastic written visuals. It's got humor. It's like, the makers of No Way Home are like, maybe we should just copy Spider-Verse. That movie was so good. Marvel itself, maybe looking at Spider-Man. Multiverse stories. We could do that.
And now it's ruining the MCU.
It is. Because they can't pull it off the way that Spider-Verse did. I really believe that. I feel like that movie came out and maybe Feige had his plan 20 years in advance. I don't believe that anymore.
I doubt that.
I don't. I think for the first phase, they did have some sort of a plan. But Spider-Verse happens, and I think you'd be crazy not to think that Spider-Verse didn't influence No Way Home.
No. Oh, no, it definitely did. It definitely did.
And this is an animated movie influencing live action. And I'll be honest, I like No Way Home. Mm-hmm. I really do. I like Spider-Verse better. I like the integration of the different Spider-Men and women better. Even though some of them are so goofy, you wouldn't think you'd like them. Yeah. But I like it.
I feel like no multiverse movie can work the way Spider-Verse does because it could do anything because it's animation without it looking hideous.
Yeah, and you got like a Nick Cage Spider-Man. That's awesome. You got the kind of broke down Spider-Man, which is awesome. Spider-Ham, I'm not a big fan of. And you got Gwen, Spider-Gwen. Like that. It's just, look, I said it once to a group of people, students of mine. I said to them once, Spider-Verse might be the best superhero movie ever made. Mm-hmm. It's not laughable. To me, it's for sure the best Spider-Man movie ever made. Like, that's lock solid.
Oh, no, that's true. That's true.
You can make the argument, at least you could years ago, that it's the best superhero movie ever made.
Yeah, I think one thing that there's a reason why everybody says, this is the best live action Spider-Man movie, instead of saying it's the best Spider-Man
No, that's a good point.
There's a reason for that.
I think you're right.
Yeah. It's a great movie. I didn't think I was going to win this one. It's the only great animated Marvel movie anyways. So
I only need one.
You only needed one.
I'm trying to think if there are any other, like, the new Avengers.
That's not as good as
Mask. I kind of like it, though.
It's not as good as Mask of the
No, it's not, but I like it. Right?
It's okay.
It's dark, disturbed. It's good.
It's solid.
Yeah, it's good.
It's solid. I haven't seen it in a long time.
Let's go to the next one.
Cool. Okay, we're at best overall, right? Or wait, we skipped a couple.
Yeah, I skipped backstory because originally for backstory I had Captain America, but and maybe I'm just gonna stick with it. I like the first Avenger. I like the man out of time kind of storyline. I like the fact that he fought against Nazi Germany, and then he's in modern times and he's seeing elements of fascism in our government, and he understands that better than anyone else because he's experienced it, he's fought against it. Maybe it's just because I'm an old guy, but I kind of like that. And so I like his origin. I like the fact that he was frozen for a while and came back, and I like the fact that he is a throwback. I thought about him or Spider-Man because obviously Spider-Man has an iconic backstory. People are sick of probably seeing it on film, but it is also iconic and simple. So I went back and forth between Spider-Man and Captain America. I don't want my list to be too Captain America heavy, and it kind of is, but I'm going with what I believe, and I like the Captain America's backstory.
Okay, now this is where I actually agree with my take for once. So, okay, so I picked Batman's backstory, and this time I actually think it's better. Batman Begins, though, which is probably, it might have the greatest, I think it has probably the greatest superhero origin story ever. I think it's very close, but I think, it could quite possibly be the best backstory ever. I feel like part of that is because Batman is, in my opinion, the greatest superhero of all time. His origin story is such a great idea. This idea of trauma and depression, and seeing that, be slowly go throughout the entire film, and seeing Batman slowly become this person that becomes this hero, that becomes this, this, in a way, icon for trauma and depression, because I feel like that's what the Batman is, as I've said before. And seeing him, argue with Falcone, that whole conversation was fantastic. I think like that alone was great. And
so this is Batman from the Batman.
This is Batman from Batman Begins.
Interesting.
I think that backstory is fantastic because we see him being shaped as the Batman. We see him become the Batman in so many ways, and there's so many different things that we see him, improve as.
I like Ra's al Ghul as a villain. I feel like he should come back in some way. I really like him as a villain.
Yeah, he was a really good villain, and I feel like in a way he's a very good. It's hard because I haven't seen the movie in a while, so I know it's great. It's just I need to rewatch it again. But seeing their different ideologies and their different beliefs from their different backgrounds and what they've gone through. Of course, we don't really know that much about Ra's al Ghul, but just seeing them collide and seeing their different ideologies is great.
But you have to be thinking now, even though this is a good pick, how many Batman picks are on your list? And again, if you're thinking overall, which product, again, DC does Batman pretty well.
You've had a lot of Captain America stuff.
That is true. But not as many. I've had others. I've had X-Men on there. I've got
So let me see. I know I've had a couple other ones on here as well. I've had Superman,
V for Vendetta.
I almost picked Zack Snyder.
Harley Quinn is kind of a Batman villain, right?
Sort of, but she's not in the movies though. She's not really a Batman villain in the movies.
Okay.
Also, I was gonna pick Zack Snyder's Justice League, so there was that. Also, the Warehouse,
which Batman figures prominently in.
Yeah, I know. Look, Batman's a great character. Okay, he's a lot of the reason why I love DC, but that doesn't mean I don't love other things from DC. It's just he's by far the best thing in DC.
And I'll admit, I'm not comfortable with how Captain America heavy my list is.
Exactly.
I'm not comfortable with it. I'm admitting it. It's still not as heavy as yours is with Batman.
The thing is, there's still good other things in DC, in my opinion. It's just that Batman is better than most of them.
Okay.
That's just how I see it.
So are we on to the best movie? We're going to end with the best movie?
Yes, this is the one where you're definitely going to lose.
I don't know if I'm going to lose.
You're going to lose. I know. I think I have a couple ideas of what your pick is. I definitely have. There's about 5 of them that I think.
My pick will not. It's going to be a little controversial. Well, maybe not.
Okay, well, if it's controversial, you're definitely going to lose.
I'll give my pick.
Okay. Spill it.
My pick is Endgame.
Okay, yeah, you've lost.
And my reasoning is that it is something cinematically that was never done before.
Cool.
There's nothing to compare it to. To take storylines and arcs from multiple movies over a decade and merge them together into this final product that those movies logically led to, and to pay off as well as it did, it's an amazing movie. Box office shows it. Quality of the movie shows it. No one else in cinematic history has ever attempted anything like it, and they pulled it off in a good way.
Infinity War's still better.
I don't know if it's better.
Okay. Well, now I have an argument against this, and that is that while Endgame is a great conclusion and maybe you could say it's a great superhero movie, The Dark Knight is a fantastic superhero movie, fantastic crime thriller, and just overall one of the greatest movies of all time, in my opinion. I don't think that's a very controversial take. Most people would agree with me on this. But overall, with the way it's crafted, it's something that Endgame didn't really do. It's taking all this with the fantastic dialogue, the great cinematography, all the great set pieces. It tries so much harder to just be a great movie than to just be a great conclusion.
Well, it can just try to be a great movie because DC is not trying to do anything beyond that. They're not even trying to string together those 3 Batman movies. Does The Dark Knight Rises have anything to do with The Dark Knight? I mean, okay, I know that everybody's wearing black again.
There's
yeah,
ties
I get
to
it.
There's
I get
ties.
it. But there's not a lot. They're just, I mean, the beginning, yes, ties into The Dark Knight. And then you get The Dark Knight Rises, and I'm like, okay, I think I've seen this before. Maybe it's the same movie with a different villain. I'm not really sure. You know what I mean? That makes me wonder. So I agree that it's great acting, it's a great story, but again, I think we've seen that before. And the third act for me with The Dark Knight kind of falls apart.
But
strong first, second act, third act. Now we're on to Harvey Dent.
Mm-hmm.
Now we've got the 2 boats with the Joker. One's going to blow up, one's not. You just lose me there. Whereas the first, I don't know exactly the time, but the first hour of The Dark Knight is awesome. Maybe the first hour and a half. I don't remember how long it is. But you get me that third act, and I'm like, I'm kind of checking out. Whereas Endgame, I'm not checking out.
Well, the thing is, the way I see it is that through and through, I absolutely love like everything about The Dark Knight. But then, like, it's like once the Endgame, I see Fat Thor, I see nerdy Hulk.
There are problems with it.
That could have been a great. The whole thing with the Hulk, by the way, that could have been a fantastic arc, but it's off screen.
Yeah, no, they didn't nail it with every character.
No, they did.
That's for sure. I think they tied up Tony Stark's arc. They worked Captain America's arc. I like what they did with Black Widow. I even kind of like what they did with Clint Barton, even though that's not very popular. Mm-hmm. I think Nebula's got an arc in there. I think the villain Thanos is very strong in there. I think there are moments in there that make the audience gasp, things that you would never think you could see on screen. Whereas Dark Knight, it's a good movie, and at the time it was revolutionary, but there was nothing on it. I was like, wow, that's on screen? That's amazing. Well, Endgame has those things.
Well, I mean, the Hulk arc wasn't on screen, so
I'm agreeing. The Hulk and Thor, I'm not happy with. But a lot of the other characters, I am happy with. I think they did a good job.
The thing is, though, Endgame has so many characters, all the stuff that's going on. Dark Knight just has a couple things, and it does those things fantastically. And I don't really see that many problems with it.
The difficulty level of The Dark Knight is lower.
It's a bit lower, but also at the same time...
Not a bit.
It's a bit.
It's not a bit.
It's a
but
bit.
You can say that difficulty level doesn't matter. I would accept that argument. Mm-hmm. But you can't say that the difficulty level is close to tying together multiple storylines over a decade, having to service that many characters in an epic story. Like that, it's just different. It's like saying, I'm trying to give a comparison here. It's like saying, I'm looking at The Lord of the Rings, where you got 3 films, multiple storylines, huge battle sequences, versus a smaller scale fantasy movie, which I can't really think of off the top of my head.
I don't know. What would...
Most fantasy movies aren't small scale, so that's hard. But
yeah, I mean, I haven't seen this movie, but what's it called again? The Dark Crystal, something.
Yeah,
like
maybe there's no comparison. So you can say difficulty doesn't matter. Ultimately, it's just either a good movie or a bad movie. I would accept that. But what Endgame was trying to do again was something no one else had ever done before.
Still 6 out of 10.
That hurts. Did it get $1 billion at the box office?
It got yeah, cool. So did Captain Marvel. Doesn't make sense. Who cares?
That's true. But it was a big deal.
It was, of course, it was a big deal.
But I thought about a lot of different movies. I could have gone Winter Soldier again here. I do actually like Black Panther, the first one. I like the first Guardians.
Yeah,
there's a lot of those movies I like.
If you chose Black Panther, you wouldn't have won.
Well,
that.
I like Black Panther, and I also thought about Spider-Man 2 from the original trilogy, which I think is a classic, and I really like. I also like some of the X-Men movies, though I never think any of them jumps out for me to say it's the best.
No,
I like Logan, but I don't know if I'd ever go back and rewatch it.
Logan is overrated. I'm sorry.
There's good acting, and it's an interesting conclusion to that character, but I don't know that I would ever go back and rewatch it.
The acting is good, and the conclusion is great, but the thing is, the story in that movie is so rough. Yeah. I did not care about the story. They focused way too much on it. It held the movie back way too much for me.
Yeah, and it's kind of a depressing movie.
I don't really care about the depressing part, but you know.
Well, I know you like DC, where it's
No.
always trauma.
I put the Lego Batman movie on my list.
The only one. The only one. Even that one, Batman is damaged and doesn't have friends. That's all DC is. I hate to say it.
No, it isn't. I also put Superman on the list.
Yeah, Superman. That was you had two. To me, you had two inspired choices.
Mm-hmm.
Inspired choice one was Superman. I think that's an inspired choice, and V for Vendetta.
Yeah.
Like that's you didn't. One thing you didn't do is Watchmen's DC, right?
It's not that good.
Okay. There's not one category for Watchmen on
No,
here.
I mean maybe you could put in best story, but really it's just a carbon copy of the comic, and it just doesn't do it as good.
Okay. To me, the visuals. That's one time where Snyder's visuals. I kind of like them.
I mean they were good, but Batman Returns, I like the visuals more. I think they're better.
Wow.
I'm just being honest. I think Batman and Christmas, it's just an unstoppable combo.
It looks okay. I actually thought about Michael Keaton too as best villain. I think he does such a good job as the Vulture, and he's the best part of that movie.
Yeah, I still can't believe you didn't choose Thanos.
Well, again, I like Killmonger.
Why more than Thanos?
Oh, maybe if I went back, I'd redo it. But I like Killmonger, like I said before, because of the realistic nature of his viewpoint. Like I said, that's to me a villain. Because some people say, well, people understand Thanos, like. Not really. Like, he wants to wipe out half the universe. Like, I get it. It's about resources and overpopulation, which makes sense.
Thanos was right.
But, but his belief it's crazy. Whereas Killmonger, again, I wouldn't agree with his methods. I wouldn't suggest that. But you can understand why.
But for me, it isn't really about how much I relate to them. It's more about how great of an overall character they are and, like, how good are they at succeeding at what they're trying to be. Because the Joker, he's not sympathetic. He's not trying to be sympathetic.
No.
He's a maniac, and he does a fantastic job at being a maniac.
Yeah. Well, if I looked at it that way, it's tough. Marvel probably does have a villain problem. Like, Thanos is probably the best one. He's CGI. If you go that route with it, he's certainly menacing, pulls off, all of that. But he is a CGI character. He's like Gollum. I don't know what to say.
Gollum is a better villain than Thanos.
I don't know. It's tough. So we're at the end.
Yeah, I guess we're here. Comment down below, I guess, who won or who's more correct. I'm probably gonna lose this because there's so many Marvel fanboys, and that's how this channel got even more popular.
Well, if you have people, listening that like Batman, you're gonna win because, like, again, your whole list.
I could have picked other picks. It's just that Batman is superior in a lot of them. How about this? I'll even go through a couple of them, and I can pick other ones for them. I'll go through them quickly. I'll go through them quickly. Best hero, Superman. I could pick Superman for that one. Best villain, who would be another? I mean, I could pick Ra's al Ghul.
You could.
I could have picked him, but that's also a Batman villain. God dang it!
Yeah, well, let's end it here. You can't redo your list. Let's end it.
I wasn't gonna redo it. I was just gonna show that I could use other examples.
I understand. Let's end it here.
Okay, so I guess this is the podcast. Tell us what you want us to do again. Maybe we'll do like a ranking or more debates like this in the future. That obviously I win. I mean, we could do an NBA debate. I think I'd win that one.
Never.
But yeah, that's gonna be it for the video. See you guys in the next one. Bye.